Did you know that birds evolved from dinosaurs? Birds evolved from a group of small meat-eating dinosaurs called theropods. The oldest bird fossils are 150 million years old. Over time, birds lost their teeth and beaks evolved. Birds are the closest living relative to the crocodile. We first saw these little parrots at the Botanical Gardens in Windhoek, Namibia's capital. Rosy-faced lovebirds are a delight to the eye. They are cheerful, affectionate, and very social. They live in large colonies and share their nests with other members of the flock. It is hard to tell the male from the female. The female is a little duller in color and weighs just a little bit more. Lovebirds can find their partners from as young as 2 months old. If these lovers separate or if the male dies, the bird starts to show erratic behavior, often likened to the behavior of people suffering from depression. Being monogamous is essential to their life and their behavior, whose daily routine relies on supporting one another. They eat figs, insects, seeds, and berries. As we were driving down the road, I noticed brown clumps in the trees. Then the clumps got even bigger. What the heck is that? These clumps, as it turned out, were the nest of the sociable weaver birds only found in South Africa. Sociable weavers use and maintain the nest throughout the year. Why are the nests so big? Protection in numbers. Materials used to build the nest all have a purpose. Large stems and twigs pointing down cover the roof. Sharp grass spikes are placed in the tunnel entrances. These nesting sites are meant to deter predators, such as the mambas and other large snakes, as well as baboons and rats. Telephone poles are used because snakes have no branches to climb. In a few hours, this boomslag, also called a tree snake, wipes out the entire colony, killing the chicks and eggs and eating them whole. The adult weavers can only stand by and watch, but they will produce another brood to replace those eaten. Life goes on. Other species will also use the nests, like the rosy-faced lovebirds, chats, and finches. Eagles and vultures can nest on top. Most weaver birds build single nests like this one. These nests are used only during nesting season. These weaver birds are omnivorous. They eat insects such as termites and locusts, as well as grain and seeds. The widest species are brood parasitic birds laying eggs in the nest of others, especially the finches. Parasitism is when animals rely on others to raise their young. Their eggs resemble the host eggs. Brood parasitism happens among birds, insects, and fish. It was a Cape starling singing. It can also mimic sounds. This bird is also called a red-shouldered glossy starling. It has a patch of red on its shoulder. As you can see, it eats insects and fruit. It's a gregarious bird and can be found in large flocks. The Cape starling is used as a host by the greater honeyguide bird, another brood parasite. This African pied wagtail is the only black and white wagtail in Africa. Next, we have the blacksmith lapwing. Its name comes from its call that sounds like a blacksmith's hammer. This thrush forages for food on the ground, eating insects and worms. It can mimic sounds of other birds and humans too. In mating season, they build a lovely, neat nest with beautiful eggs. White-fronted bee eaters have one of the most complex and amazing family-based social systems found in birds. They are socially monogamous. The colonies consist of extended families overlapping generations. Helper birds assist and help to raise the young. These helper birds help dig nesting chambers, feed the female, incubate, and feed the young. A colony can consist of 200 birds. Bee eaters eat mostly bees, but will eat other insects. They only catch the bees when they are flying and never once they land. They wrap the bee's head on a branch to stun it. They bang the bee's tail against a branch to remove the stinger and the venom sac. Wow, can you imagine capturing this shot? It is as if the bee eater is looking right into the camera lens. Dust baths are an important part of the cleaning and grooming process. It also cuts down on parasites. These bee eaters nest in burrows tunneled into sandy banks on or near edges of rivers. One big happy family. Well, not always. If a female leaves the burrow, she risks being raped by an unmated male. Shrikes are famous for impaling their victims. That is their way of storing foods to eat later. They are called butcher birds. They are host birds to the black cuckoo, a brood parasite. The jacana has super long toes that spread its weight over large areas, and they appear to be walking on water. That's why they call it the Jesus bird. They are good swimmers and divers. The male incubates the eggs, while the female mates with many other males and lays as many eggs as possible, because crocodiles eat the eggs. These chicks are 1 day old and already know where their food is. The chicks are incredible. Once they hatch, they are able to walk, swim, and communicate with Dad. Dad stays close to his chicks and keeps an eye out on the surroundings, protecting the chicks from the presence of crocodile. The chicks have no perception of the danger beneath the lilies. In sensing danger, the male sends out a secret alarm call, and the chicks freeze and appear dead. The male then has the ability to pick up and carry the chicks under his wings and away to safety. Keeping the chicks quiet in this space is a challenge. Those who survive here are the ones who are most aware of the sinister hiding in the beauty. About half the chicks survive in a nesting season. We are now taking a walk on the wild side. I had one sighting of a secretary bird, but I missed it. At the time I took this picture, I had no idea what it was. The secretary bird has the longest legs of any bird of prey, and it is the tallest raptor in the world. It is 4 feet tall and has a wingspan of 7 feet. It can fly but prefers to walk. Notice the hooked beak. And look at those long eyelashes. Pacing at 2 miles per hour and walks 12 to 18 miles per day. Hunting for prey. They will eat just about anything. Tortoises, grasshoppers, large and small snakes, frogs, lizards, birds, and their eggs. They chase down their prey, strike it with their bill, and stomp it to death. That kick is deadly. They kick at the force of 5 times their body weight. They are not immune to snake venom. They are protected by their heavily scaled legs and very thick feathers. They hunt on the ground during the day, and they roost in the treetops at night. Courtship begins. They soar like eagles and sound like this. They perform a mating ritual and dance, dance, dance. Once they consummate the deal, they live happily ever after, but first they must build the nest. They build their nest on top of thorny trees like the acacias or camel thorn trees. The thorns offer protection. They lay 2 to 3 eggs. Both incubate the eggs, but the female remains on the nest at night. And again, when taking this picture, I had no idea what I had captured. Thank goodness for the internet. Look at that beak. It is long and pointed. That was the first clue of who it was. I love kingfishers. Africa has 18 species. In California, we only have one, the belted kingfisher, and it lives near streams and rivers. Unlike other kingfishers, this kingfisher is not located near water, and it doesn't eat fish. These birds forage on the ground, eating mostly insects, scorpions, reptiles, small birds, rodents, and snakes. The gray heron is related to the great blue heron. The great blue is much larger, has longer legs and a longer neck and a heavier bill. The gray heron is a wading bird and feeds mostly on aquatic creatures, but it will eat insects, ducklings, small mammals, rats, and rabbits. Speaking of who eats whom, herons were roasted and served at banquets in medieval times. Herons and egrets were killed for their breeding plumage. The feathers were used for ladies' hats. Courtship begins. The male takes to the sky, and together an elaborate song and dance begins. When the female accepts him for her mate, he presents her with a stick, and she begins to build the nest. They breed in monogamous colonies called heronies, but they may choose a different mate the next season. They lay 3 to 5 bluish-green eggs, and both sexes incubate the egg. The eggs hatch in about a month, and the chicks fledge the nest in 7 to 8 weeks. The pale-winged starling is monogamous and gregarious, and an omnivore. He's eating a red-winged grasshopper, and after finishing his meal, he started to sing. The Egyptian goose is native to Africa, and they mate for life. They're very aggressive and will attack other birds as well as their own. They have actually been spotted attacking a drone. This is what I learned on the internet. These birds are actually called the angry birds of the Nile. The sounds you are hearing are of the actual dogfight that they were having. The African fish eagle is more striking than our bald eagle, but the bald eagle is larger. The fish eagle has the honor of being named the national bird of 3 nations, Malawi, Zimbabwe, and Namibia. Eagles fly over 100 miles per hour, but can dive at speeds of 200 miles per hour. Eagles have barbs on their feet to hold on to slippery fish. They mate for life and have amazing eyesight. They actually see in color and view a larger range of color than humans. Fish eagles eat mainly fish, but they will take water birds, turtles, and mammals. They also steal from other birds. That is known as kleptoparasitism. They mate for life. The female is bigger, and they lay 1 to 3 eggs. Females do most of the incubation. Next, Sounds of Africa, a fish eagle calling at dawn. Next video, part 2 of these astonishing gifts of nature.